Struggling to design the business of your dreams? Welcome to Designing the Business, the podcast where we go beyond beautiful spaces and dive into what it really takes to build them. I'm Risha Walden, interior designer and founder of Walden Interiors, and your host. Every week, I sit down with brilliant minds behind the scenes, builders, contractors, architects, real estate pros, artisan, and fellow creatives to talk business. We explore how they got started, what keeps them going, and how they've built businesses that not only succeed, but inspire. Subscribe now and join me each week as we design the business together. I'm joined today with Ralph Tarnofsky from the Home Theater Group. He has been in business for over 50 years. He is a business owner and entrepreneur. What I have admired about his business and how he does business is his ability to network and create relationships. He had his own business and now sold that and is now working with the Home Theater Group. Ralph, I'm going to start off with, why did you start your business? I know that you no longer own PAC and you sold that, but you're working with the Home Theater Group. I'd love you to talk about why did you start PAC and then how you got into Home Theater Group.
While I was still in college, way back when in the early 70s, I was working part-time for a stereo shop that also sold records. And I enjoyed my experience working there and learned quite a bit about acoustics and audio and reproduction of sound. And I've always been a music aficionado ever since the Beatles, which is mid-60s. And when my employers ended up failing in their business because they made all the mistakes that young entrepreneurs tend to make. And in their particular case, instead of paying their bills for the vendors for the components that we were selling in the shops, they bought sports cars with the money.
Nice.
So they would drive up in expensive sports cars and they throw me the keys and say, go park my car for me.
Oh.
And I was happy to do so because I got to drive a BMW or a
Yeah.
Jaguar for around the block. So they failed, and I decided, along with another employee who was also a friend of mine from growing up in high school in the town we lived in, we decided to be partners and start a business together doing exactly the same thing. And we didn't have a store or a showroom back then, so we called it the Unstereo Store because we didn't have a store.
Right.
And back then, Up was promoting their product as the Uncola. So that was a soda brand from the 70s. Up. I'm not sure it's around anymore, but they were the Uncola. So we were the Unstereo Store, and that's how I started the business with my partner, Ron. And we were helping the people we had been working with in the shops in Summit and Morristown, which is where that original company was. They were called Looney Tunes, by the way. They basically copied Crazy Eddie, who was another character from the 70s and 80s in the audio business. They knew each other.
Okay.
So Crazy Eddie was in Brooklyn, and my bosses were in New Jersey as Looney Tunes. So anyway, that's how we started. And basically, we did home consultations for virtually every person we worked for. We would go out to the house and talk about what they wanted, what they needed. I got to look at the rooms that they wanted to put equipment in and figure out the best way to install it and set it up. So since we didn't have a showroom, we really had to work as in-home consultation, which is basically the platform that I used for many years going forward to build the business, which was doing something that nobody else was doing, which was in-home consultations for audio systems. So, that was basically the beginning of it. And the first showroom opened up in East Hanover. That was in 1978 or 79, I believe. And that showroom was a non-retail location. It was inside an industrial building, so it was very, very difficult to find. It didn't have a real storefront, but I did have a showroom location that I could invite people to do demonstrations and to have meetings. And I did that for a couple of years And then I saw the location in Milburn on Essex Street that was vacant in 1981. I moved in there,
Wow.
and I got more into a retail model. And unfortunately, I drifted away from the home consultation idea for a few years and just concentrated on foot traffic and retail sales, and then started to see that the custom business was really where it was at. So I went back towards custom again around 1990, thereabouts. We locked the door. We went by appointment only,
Oh,
which gave me the time to go back out in the field and do home consultations again. Just
okay.
so I kind of reinvented myself in the 90s.
Right.
And ever since then, the basis for the success of the business has been the personalized touch, getting to know your client before you start designing and recommending components and products and systems for them. And so that's worked really great for me. And I actually found that I talked to a lot of my competitors in North Jersey, and I was the first one to lock the door and go by appointment only, and they couldn't believe it. They were,
Wow.
how is that going to work? Oh my God, that's radical. And sure enough, within a couple of years, all of them were by appointment only as well, except for possibly Saturdays, which is when they were open. So
Right. Huh.
that's the long version.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Go there, go back, go there, Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And so then you sold that business and you're working with Home Theater Group. Now, do they do the home consultation? Is that part of what you do with them, or how
So
does
when
that
I
work?
so I sold when I sold PAC in 2022. I did work there for about another year.
Okay.
And then we got to the point where my contract was up. And I thought I was going to retire basically, but I found that there were a significant number of PAC, professional audio consultants, long term loyal clients who were reaching out to me as opposed to reaching out to PAC because they trusted me and we had that
Right.
relationship that we had built. And they needed service calls and tech support. And I just decided I couldn't let them hang in the wind with being orphaned and not really having a place they felt comfortable with. So I went over to the Home Theater Group, which is a company that I've known all 30 years that they've been in business. And we talked, and I got a good look at what they were doing, and it was very compatible with what I was doing at Professional Audio Consultants. And it was the same business model, just a little smaller, but it was showroom, high quality brands, home consultations. The designs that we do for our clients are all custom. There's no cookie cutter approach, and they're strong on tech support. So it seemed like a very good fit for me, and I decided to get involved with their company, and I've been helping them on two fronts basically: business development,
Okay.
which is the networking thing, and sales, and then I've been working in the showroom to upgrade and improve the displays and the overall look of the showroom when people visit.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting because I do like your business development networking. That's something that I admired in your business with PAC, your ability to do the networking and create these relationships, not only with other businesses, but with clients. So what was the impact that you wanted to leave with this home consultation? Like, what was the important part of that?
Well, in many cases, I felt over the years that I've developed a relationship with a large percentage of my clients to the point where we'll end up socializing and
Oh,
going out to dinner or lunch together, go to a concert together. So it becomes a very well connected relationship that goes for many years. And I make an effort to contact the people that I've been working with for so many years just to find out how they're doing and to make sure that they're happy with their technology and just to catch up with them. So it becomes the opposite of a one and done. Okay. There's a
right.
lot of companies out there that do one and done business. And I was always looking to be the opposite of that all these years. So I can say that I've got some clients that are still working with me now that were working with me back in the late 70s and early 80s. So that's a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And there's also quite a few of them that I've done business with the children of my clients when they bought houses and
Right.
they needed help with their technology. And I probably may make it to the point where there may be some grandchildren that I'll work with. Who knows?
That's fantastic. So I love that story. I love that. That's great. It's really building relationships. And I think we're missing that in today's world. Everything is done online. But really, when you're talking such high end and personable information and help, that relationship is so key.
Yeah, I agree. There's no question about it. The products are able to differentiate themselves for sure. There's good, better, best, right? But really, when it comes down to it, you can buy a Sony flat screen TV from a variety of different outlets, including the big box stores, and you can buy them online and have them show up at your doorstep. The fact is that unless somebody came to your house and evaluated the lighting conditions in the room that that TV's going in and the viewing distance from the
Okay.
TV to where you're
Right.
sitting and the overall size of the wall and how that TV is going to be installed and mounted and connected, you're missing out on a large part of the equation of enjoyment level
Oh,
and getting the most out of the product. And
right.
that's what I do. So I hope that people recognize that there's a better way to acquire their technology, whether it's something simple like a flat screen TV or whether it's something more complicated like a full dedicated theater room with acoustic treatment and seating, or anything in between.
Yeah. So it's similar to what I do because people hire me to create beauty and functionality in their home, and that's a big part of what you do. And so when I'm working with clients, I often see that they've made decisions that are just in so many directions and don't have the specific goal or target and don't realize what they're hoping to achieve. Where do you see that happening in your business? Is that what it is? Is that they purchased and they don't? How does that work? How do you see that in your business?
Well, I see a variety of different approaches that people take to acquiring technology for their home or for their business. And sometimes they will do a lot of research on the internet and think that now they know enough to do it for themselves
Uh-huh.
and they don't really need somebody like me
Mm-hmm.
to help them. Frequently, that ends up being a pretty big mess that has to be sorted out. It ends up costing more in the long run because it's not as easy as people imagine it to be. I think that if you have strong tech skills and that you have the ability and understanding of some technology, you could be successful in doing some work for yourself when it comes to the audio, video, and maybe even some basic smart home stuff. For the most part, if you're looking for a custom solution in a space that is special, it's the kind of space that you design for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to integrate the technology into that space in a seamless way,
Yes.
right? And I think that takes a combination of you and me to figure that out, right? Because
Absolutely.
one of the things I've always wanted to do, and I think I've done okay with achieving my goal, is to work with interior designers and architects um, in a team approach so that the results are coordinated and coherent.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I would never, for example, if I feel like there should be a 65-inch TV on that wall in the family room, and you think it should be a 55-inch TV, and then that's going to work better and fit the space. And I want to put a sound bar underneath the TV, but you would prefer to have speakers flush mounted in the ceiling.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do. I would follow your lead because I know you have the eye on what's going to look right. And I'm not going to stand there and say, oh no, this is what we're doing, right? So
Right.
I want to work with the team members and not create issues because I feel like I've always got to be right. I never
Right.
feel like I always have to be right.
Well, it is a team decision, and I understand my client's functionality requirements, but you understand technology and how that works. And I love having these conversations with people like you so that we can really achieve the best look. Because even though that may be what I want, where we don't see the sound bar, it may not necessarily be the right fit for this particular space. And you would know that. So it's in these conversations that we're able to really exceed the expectations of clients because I then have to say, okay, well, yeah, I don't want to see it, but what's another way that we can make it disappear, the soundbar disappear, but use that because that's going to create the best outcome for the client, right?
Yeah,
That's a
I feel like
conversation.
there's more than one way to skin the cat, and
Right.
there's lots of solutions available these days. And it's important to be aware of the different solutions and be able to say, okay, wait a minute, we didn't think about the idea of how about a mirror TV instead of a
Right.
good old plain old TV that's always in your face, right? The mirror
Yeah.
is awesome if you know about them and you know which ones are the ones that you would really want, because there's a big variety of mirror televisions,
Mm-hmm.
for example, that are good, better, best.
Mm-hmm.
And there's ones that are available that are custom framed and all kinds of interesting sizes and shapes. Like, for example, you would never think that a mirror TV could be oval or round shaped because the TV is rectangular, right? But
Didn't
those
know
are
that.
available.
Wow. See, this is why it's great working together in a team with someone like you that has this information because I have an idea. I know what I want to look like, but I don't have that wealth of product knowledge and understanding of technology that can, really elevate the final look and functions for my clients. But together, we make a great team. Like, I love that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So what keeps you inspired to continue? Because you started in the 70s, you did your own business in the 80s, you reinvented yourself in the 90s, you sold your business and like now and you're still doing it. What's inspiring you, Ralph?
Well, I think there's a few. I have a lot of energy
Okay.
for a 70-year-old guy. So it's not like I feel I need to sit around on the couch all day. I want to be out there and be active, and I am also a hobbyist. So part of the reason why I was in the business for so many years and enjoyed it so much is because an aficionado of film and of music, and
Okay.
my own home has a very serious, uh, seriously designed music room for sitting down and listening to vinyl
Oh,
and
wow.
hearing it the way the artist expected you to and
Right.
wanted you to hear it, acoustically treated and everything. And then I've also got a theater room next to that, which is a very large, it's a 110-inch diagonal screen and
Wow.
six
Yeah.
theater chairs and acoustic treatment, the whole thing. I'm in it not just because it was a business for me. And so by staying motivated and continuing on now with the home theater group, it helps me because I have access to all these products still. So I can do
Yeah.
upgrades and I can bring things home from the showroom and listen to them and check them out in my own system for fun.
Interesting.
And the other part of it is I really enjoy having the ability to help people out with upgrading their equipment or expanding their systems or troubleshooting problems they're having. And I don't mind doing it on weekends, in the evening. I try to make myself available to people when it's comfortable and convenient for them. I feel like people typically get that kind of service for technology, right? Usually get the Comcast Verizon style service. It could be service if you're willing to hang on the phone long enough and get to a live person to talk to.
Yeah.
So, I know that I want to be the antithesis of that. I want to be available. So I give my mobile number to everybody that I'm working with, and they can reach out to me via text if something is in their mind and they want to bounce something off me. It's incredible how people function with their technology. I've got one person that's over in the same town where I live, and they're doing an outdoor project now with a new patio and a new deck and a fire pit and a hot tub. He'll just have a epiphany about where he wants his speakers to go and his outdoor TV to be installed. And he'll text me and ask me a bunch of questions about, what do you think of this idea?
Right.
How would they work in the planting bed over here? Or what about this location? Most people would probably say, I'm
Right.
not entertaining this,
Right.
but I I've been to the house. I know what he's talking about. I've seen the plans, so I can give him an intelligent answer about what I think of his idea. And I think that's of high value for people, where they feel like you're actually paying attention to them and you're engaged with their projects and what they want to do with their home and with their property. So I like
Yeah.
doing that, and I continue to do it until I actually am ready to retire. I don't even know when that's going to be.
Well, you're totally invested in the client's project and wanting to have the best outcome for them. I can see that. I hear it in your voice. That is a rarity.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's the best compliment you have ever received?
I think, in a general way, the best compliment I have been given by a few people is that I'm really a great listener and that I take the time to let people tell me what's important to them, what their preferences are, and let them completely finish their thoughts before I jump in. The second part is I hear from a lot of people that they really like the fact that I almost always say yes.
That's a great trait to have. We love that trait.
Yeah, it works.
So is there one thing about yourself that you're working on changing?
The only thing I could really identify right off the top of my head is I'd like to be a little bit better at communicating with people on a more regular basis. My problem, I think, is that I know so many people
Mm-hmm.
over all these years, and it just becomes difficult to stay in touch with all of them as often as I would like to, right? Because I think that if you have long-term friendships with people, a couple months shouldn't go by between when you get a chance to communicate and talk with them. I'm finding that happens sometimes, particularly when you get into the age bracket I'm into now. There's a lot of people in my age bracket that are not as healthy as
Hmm.
they would like to be, or I
Right.
would like them to be. So I'm finding that, I've lost a few friends that are in my
Mm.
age bracket, and I didn't spend enough time with them. And as an example, I have a friend that lives a mile or two down the road. I've known him for 35, 40 years. He started out as a client in Milburn, and we just became friends over the years. And he ended up moving from West Orange to a mile away from where I am. And so we became neighbors as well as client and friend. And I hadn't seen him in a while, and he called me up and said, I need a new center channel speaker for my home theater. And if you could pick one out for me, order it and bring it over. So I did that, and I brought it over to his house to deliver it. And I hadn't seen him in a while, and he had deteriorated significantly physically, and he
Uh,
was having balance problems. And
right.
I could tell he wasn't really feeling all that well, and he had lost energy, and he just, wasn't doing. He had a variety of problems. So I installed the center channel speaker. We caught up. We listened to some Grateful Dead, and I really had a good time with him for a couple of hours there. And sure enough, 2 or 3 weeks later, he had a heart attack and he's died.
Wow. Wow.
So
Yeah.
that, I think I want to try to spend more time with my friends and my clients, and while we're all around, take advantage
Yeah.
of it.
I'm it's so important to have these connections, to be connected to a bigger group, a bigger, beyond yourself. I agree with you. Those relationships are,
Everything.
important. Yeah, really. I'm not going to go on my deathbed saying, "Oh, I wish I had, you know, spent more time." I know I'm going to regret. There's one thing is regretting spending time with people I love. Don't want to be there. So, if you could have dinner with three people, who would they be?
Number one on my list is Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
Um, I have a lot of respect for him, and I find him to be an incredibly intelligent, sensitive person. And if I had a chance to sit down with him for an hour or two over dinner, I think that would be of high value to me. The second one I think of is a musician. The one that comes to mind is Stevie Winwood, actually, from
Okay.
Traffic and
Yeah.
from Blind Faith and from his own solo career. I pick him because he has been in so many different musical venues and different configurations of bands and um, incredibly talented. I feel like after seeing him in concert multiple times over the years, he'd be an interesting guy to talk to about his career in the music business.
Okay.
And then the third one is George Takei. So George Takei is best known for being Sulu on Star Trek, the original
Yeah.
TV
Okay.
series
Yeah.
Star Trek. I followed his career a little bit over the years, and he's in his 80s now.
Right.
And he's an author and does a variety of different things. He's a very strong proponent for LBGQT rights, and I think he's a good role model and a pretty interesting dude. So he's the third one.
That's a great list. Politics, movies, and music.
There you go.
I'm going to end on this question. What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
The only regret I think I have about 50 years of owning my own business and really trying to enjoy the experience as much as I can. I feel like I wish I had more focus on my business because I had times where I was very focused on it and things went well. And there were other times where I kind of let it run itself almost, or I picked people to help manage my business so that I could have more time to pursue what I like doing, skiing and travel and whatever. And unfortunately, my judgment, I've always looked at the positive side of people and always wanted to trust everybody. I've had is at least somewhere between three and a half a dozen staff members over the years that took advantage of me because I wasn't paying attention.
Mm,
And I did have situations of embezzlement and other issues
sure.
within the customer service problems where the people that I had in charge of handling scheduling service calls and tech support were dropping the ball or had bad attitude towards my clients. So there were a few mistakes that I made by picking the wrong people to work with me and trusting the wrong people. So that would be my only way if I could have known that when I was 21, when I started PAC,
Right.
1973. Now, I didn't figure that out until way beyond after I already had suffered some of the setbacks by having the wrong people in my business with me.
Well, you're not jaded. I mean, there are a lot of lessons in there that you took from like hiring the wrong people. I mean, you're not jaded. You continue to move forward and work with people. Those are like sometimes those lessons are great lessons to have, right?
They are, and don't get me wrong, I have had the blessing of having some really great people working
Right.
in my company. The team I had assembled for the last 10 years of ownership of PAC were pretty stellar in terms of their ability levels and their customer service delivery. And there was one in particular, there was an electrical engineer from Cornell who I connected up with early on. It was probably in the mid 70s, early on in my business. I had him as a partner for a little while. Then he became a staff member. He ran our tech department. And it was a blessing to have somebody with that level of expertise on my staff because he was able to diagnose every
Yeah.
little problem we were having in the field. He was able to do very advanced programming, and um, he was also able to repair anything that ever broke. And unfortunately, he was with us for 32 years
Wow.
and unfortunately died at age 58. He
Wow.
died
Young.
of a heart attack.
Right.
But I think my business would have never been as successful or has been able to grow the way it had without that particular person on my staff. And to this day, I had a tribute page on my website. His name was Tom Churchill. really a special guy and gone way too young. I do thank my lucky stars that the stars aligned. He was working for the same company that I worked for, Looney Tunes.
Okay.
That's how we met originally. And when, like I said, when our bosses went out of business, he decided to connect up with me and be my service department, basically, is how that
Okay.
worked.
Yeah. So if people want to get a hold of you, where should they go?
The best way to do that is to connect with me through the home theater group by calling home theater group. Okay.
Absolutely.
My
So we'll
business
have it
card.
below. Yeah.
Yeah, my business card has all that information on
Yeah.
it. And I'm there by appointment typically, but I'm happy to hear from people right on my mobile number anytime and a text or a phone call. If somebody has an idea about some technology they want to add to their home or their business, or they already have technology that's misbehaving, I'm happy to help out. Sometimes I can tell you which button to push or what device to unplug for a minute and plug back in and get you back up and running without somebody having to visit or without having to
Right.
waiting 3 or 4 days to have
Right.
somebody come out. I'm usually, I'd say 85% I can figure it out over the phone.
Okay.
And,
Fantastic.
and the other 15% I'll
Got to
show
show
up
up.
at your house.
Well, that's service. That's service, which we know you're good for. Thank you, Ralph, so much for taking the time and sharing with us your wonderful, illustrious career and your ideas as you've worked through being with your own company and now with Home Theater Group. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me on board. I'm very excited about continuing to work with you because we have very similar attitudes and you've demonstrated over the years, very strong expertise in what you do in a
Thank
way
you.
that is very different from almost any other interior designer I've
Oh,
ever worked with over all these years. Having a uniqueness and a different way of looking at interior design
no, thank you.
is what I appreciate about you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.